SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
Are you tired of dents and scratches ruining the look of your car? Look no further than Porter's Body Shop in Brookhaven. Call us at 601-833-1861 or visit us online at portersbodyshopms.com.
Oh, yeah.
Good morning, Mississippi.
Everything gonna be all right this morning.
Mornings with Richard Cross.
Oh, yeah.
Here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Woo! Now, when I was a young boy, at the age of 5, my mother said I was gonna be the greatest man alive. But now I'm a man.
Good Tuesday morning, November 18th, 2025. Welcome. This is Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi. Appreciate you being with us. A little soupy outside in some parts of the state of Mississippi, maybe a bunch of parts of the state of Mississippi. So give yourself perhaps a few extra minutes this morning. If it's a little harder to roll out of bed on a morning when you know it's kind of soupy, you might have a chance of rain. I get it. I'm with you. Hang in there. That coffee tastes good, I promise. It'll get you going. I'm Richard Cross, Lance Tolbert in the studio. Good morning, Lance.
Good morning, RC. Yeah, when I pulled in the parking lot this morning, I haven't seen the alley cats probably for about 2 weeks.
Yeah?
You know, the weather's been nice, and they've been sleeping in late and everything. So I pull in this morning, and it looked like, just a herding of cats was going on. I mean, there's 4 or 5 of them running everywhere. So I said, yeah, it's going to rain today.
Huh.
It's damp outside and, very humid, but you could tell we're probably going to get a little bit of something this morning. So if you're on your way, it was a little misty in areas this morning, so a little damp already. So be careful.
That seems counterintuitive to me. I would think that the cats would be out frolicking on the mornings when it's nice, and on a day where it's soupy and yucky, that'd be the time to.
You never know. Cats are crazy, buddy. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I knew it was something very different this morning when I pulled in, and for the last 2 weeks it's been beautiful weather and all that. So I think we may get something. It's a little breezy too out there, so
sure.
I'm looking forward to a little dampness. I don't know about you guys, but down here in the central part of Mississippi, it's been dry enough. Wouldn't mind having a little rain. I'm tired of watering the ryegrass. So.
I hear you. I've been on the business end of a leaf blower a fair amount lately.
I spent a couple hours with that yesterday, yeah.
And it's a happy place for me.
Yeah, I love it.
It's an even happier place when there is not a dust cloud that goes along with it.
Oh, man.
Combination of yard dry, leaves dry, crunchy.
And wind.
All the stuff in the air, a little bit of wind that goes along with it, and you're like,
It's fighting it.
Could use just a little bit of dampness, but we don't have that yet.
It's just kind of, and it didn't feel committed, but definitely lingering.
Mm-hmm. Tupelo, you got partly cloudy skies this morning, going to give way to cloudy skies during the afternoon. Stray shower or thunderstorm possible for you with a high of 76 on the 18th of November. Winds out of the south at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Not ideal leaf blowing conditions, 10 to 15. You can handle it 5 to 10, no problem. That's almost like nothing. 15 starts to get a little dicey.
Especially if you get it with the wind. You're doing it, where you're blowing with the wind, man, it's easy work.
Oh, yeah.
When it's into your teeth, yeah.
If you're blowing downwind, that is a welcome friend, a welcome partner. Madison, you've got areas of dense fog this morning with cloudy skies early, becoming partly cloudy later in the day. 83 for that was Hattiesburg. Dense fog in Hattiesburg, cloudy skies, partly cloudy later in the day, 83, winds out of the south. Dense fog for you in Madison as well, mostly cloudy, going to be partly cloudy later with a high of 80. And then Biloxi, also areas of dense fog this morning. Considerable clouds early. Some of the clouds clear out this afternoon. It'll be 76 today in Biloxi. Not a bad day on the Gulf Coast. A salute. I'm sure these are happening or they do happen. I know they happen all over the state of Mississippi at different points on the calendar. But a treat for me last night. 63 young women at Oxford High School were part of the Parade of Beauties. 63, man, that's a big number.
Yeah.
That is a big number. I just got to tell you, man, I'm not going to pretend like going to a beauty review, a beauty pageant is my favorite thing in life to do. But my daughter was involved with it, so, proud dad to get to be there for that. But every time I go to one of these, I am struck by the courage and the confidence that it takes to, to get a fancy dress that's sparkly and, it's tight-fitting and you got a big crowd and you're going to walk out and the spotlight is on you and nothing but you. And you have three people whose opinion in basically anything else in life you probably wouldn't care about, whose opinion is the only one that counts, and they are literally, with pencil in hand, writing down notes about you and judging you. Mm-hmm. Well, you've also got, 300 or 400 or 500 sets of eyes in the audience who are kind of pulling for you, but they're probably there for somebody else and really pulling for them a little bit more.
Maybe even kind of hoping you'll slip up.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, I'd like to think that that's not the case for most.
Not for most,
I'd like
but
to
there'll be
think
some
that.
out there that are like, yeah, I want to see her.
Yeah, you'd like to have an audience full of miscongenialities, but I suppose that's not always the case. But man, you are putting yourself out there when you do that. And so for all the young ladies that are involved with pageants and do those on a regular basis or an occasional basis or just one time, good for you. I hope it's a self-confidence building exercise and nothing more. And then if you do well in it, on top of that, congratulations. But that really, really kind of inspiring to see that. I know that sounds like old man, dad, spin.
You just described Richard Cross.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying.
I'm kidding, man. You should
but
feel
I'm serious,
good.
man. It's really cool.
Something to be proud of, especially watching your kids go handle difficult situations in a classy way.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Thinking through it, being prepared. My niece, I've heard her speak in public. She's like 15, man. I mean, I couldn't have even come close to what she's done, but a lot of that comes from being on stage and being a performer and playing sports and, being around your friends. I think you got to be very proud as a father. I know I am as an uncle when I see my niece and nephew, especially, Anna Ryan. It blows me away at that age how mature, in emotions they are.
Yeah. Well, it's a neat deal, and congratulations to everybody that's part of that. It's a cool experience. George Gallup was born on this day in 1901. He is the father of the poll.
Oh, yeah.
The Gallup poll named after him, an American survey sampling pioneer, an inventor of that poll, born in Jefferson, Iowa.
Have you ever taken the Clifton Strengths Assessment? The online. It's about like a personality.
Is that the one where you're an animal?
I'm not sure. Yeah,
or is that like
he invented it? They invented it over there.
ASDF.
You've done those personality type of things. Yeah, it's one of those personality tests that a lot of corporations use these days.
And George Gallup did that too?
Yeah, he was kind of one of the pioneers of being able to do it online. Where you didn't have to have the people come in and put the slip down. They've been very revolutionary in what they've done in the world of politics and analysis.
Mornings with Richard Cross is presented by Community Bank, rooted in our community, communitybank.net. Alan Shepard was born on this day in 1923. Does that name ring a bell, but you can't quite place it? I suppose he's not as much of a household name as Buzz Armstrong Buzz Aldrin or Neil Armstrong. But he was the first American astronaut in space, born in Derry, New Hampshire. 1956, Warren Moon, Pro Football Hall of Famer, Offensive Player of the Year with the Houston Oilers in 1990, nine-time Pro Bowler. Also was a star in the CFL, the Canadian Football League. Man, could he spin it.
The run and gun, or the fun and gun. I can't remember which one it was with the Houston Oilers. Was it the fun and gun or the run and gun? He was the guy, you know. I mean, and Buddy, you're right. He could spin it. He was one of my favorite to watch.
As pretty a spiral as anybody who's
like
ever
every time he
game.
threw it. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Kirk Hammett's 63 today. He was born in 1962. The heavy metal guitarist from Metallica, born in San Francisco. Owen Wilson's 57. Meet the Parents, Zoolander, and many others. He's a Texan. David Ortiz, born in 1975, the Dominican Baseball Hall of Fame first baseman and designated hitter. 10-time All-Star, 3-time World Series champion, 2013 World Series MVP with the Red Sox, also played with the Twins.
Big Papi.
Big Papi, born in Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic.
That is a big dude, too, man.
He is a big dude, and he could hit a baseball a long way. Probably as close to an adopted Bostonian as somebody from Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic can ever get.
He got the key to the city properly.
Yeah.
He can run into the mayor's office when he wants to.
We'll have some things that happened on this day for you coming up, then some news and some sports headlines. A couple of guests coming your way this morning include Peter Costa, who perhaps can shed a little bit of light on why the market is trending south over the last week or two. We're back with you right after this. Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk, Mississippi.
From the Venable Glass Track.
Find out what's happening across your state. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
He gets off on country music, 'cause disco left him cold. He's got young friends and a new way, but he's just too friggin' old. And he dreams at night of Woodstock and the day John Lennon died. How the music made him happy and the silence made him cry. Yeah, he thinks of John sometimes, and he has to wonder why.
MRC with you. It's SuperTalk, Mississippi. Good morning. Thanks for being with us on this Tuesday, the 18th of November. We are...
You blink, it's going to be December.
We are 9 days away from Thanksgiving.
Oh, those turkeys, buddy, I bet they're just smiling at you right now.
Today is the day. I told you I was going to get ahead on my planning. Today is the day I got to call my buddy Greg and say, all right, I need them.
Yeah, it's time.
And he'll either have them today for me or I'll go pick them up tomorrow. For the turkeys, got to get them in the refrigerator and let them start thawing. I got to get ahead of the game on the thawing part of the process this year. And then we'll wait on the other fixings for a few more days to pick. Those could be picked up early next week, and everything's good on that. You know.
You changed any of your setup yet? I know you were going to smoke them. Any other thoughts you've had, or you
no?
I'm
just kind of going with my method.
Mm-hmm.
Once they're completely thawed and you get the innards out, I salt them pretty heavily and rub them down with Wesson oil, and then ideally let them sit for a few hours. I like to stuff the cavity with a mix of citrus stuff, so some oranges, some lemons, some limes, maybe pop an apple in the hiney there in the back end to kind of seal it all up if there's room, and put a little garlic in there, and then I just kind of load them down with honestly, I use some Lowry seasonal, and I'll use a little bit of Tony C's, and I might get one of Malcolm Reed's rubs and kind of mix all the seasoning on there and give it a good dusting on the outside. And there are people, I'm sure, that would tell me it's a terrible idea, but I do them in the big, the big aluminum foil dishes.
Yeah.
And I do a mix of apple juice and cranberry juice and a little bit of lemon juice, and just let them actually sit in that, like in a bathtub.
Nice.
Probably,
taking good care of those turkeys, buddy.
An inch or so thick, and then cook them on indirect heat for 7 or 8 hours.
Yeah.
6, 7 hours.
Smoke them up, man. Smoke them if you got them. Love it, though. So is this
and then they come out on a golden brown.
Did you do this like growing up? Was this something that you?
Nope.
Or is this your recipe?
I made it. I'm not saying that it's proprietary. I mean, I just told you what it is. It's not like it's anything super special, but
it sounds like it's taking some time to get it the way you want it.
Yeah. I've kind of played with it a little bit, and it's worked for me. Because more than anything in life, I hate dry turkey.
Yeah. Oh, me too.
Well, I say more than anything in life. That's probably not true. But more than anything as it relates to turkey,
for a month,
I can't stand dry turkey.
For a month, you hate dry turkey.
Yeah. So it seems to stay really moist that way. And then when I pull them off, they go straight into a cooler, like an ice chest, and just let them keep on steaming and getting moist in there, and then pull them out and carve them, and beautiful presentation.
Awesome. Y'all cranberry it up? Do you like the canned cranberry stuff, or do you put the
there will be. My mom is kind of she's like, yeah, we got to have some old school cranberry sauce there, and I agree with that. But she also does a big fruit salad.
Yeah, there's something about that can of the pressed cranberry sauce. It just kind of throws me back to like childhood.
I agree.
I don't know.
I agree.
I like the little
Jane
ridges
and my mother-in-law kind of do the dressing together, and good grief, I mean, they make a bunch of it.
Yeah,
a bunch of it. At last count, I think we're at 63?
63 people.
Yes.
Oh, nice. Almost like the pageant last night. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, is the dessert spread something to behold? I mean, are you usually taking it easy on the turkey and all that to get to the desserts? Because that's the way it was at Mama's when I was a kid. Man, I would pass over so much, eat up as much as I could of the 18 different desserts, and then I would go eat dinner later. But
yeah, usually there are a couple of cakes, including a rum cake, and there obviously is a pecan pie or two, and a couple of
the pecan pie,
either sweet potato pie or pumpkin pie, or maybe one of each, and then
save the neck for me, Clark.
I think somebody brought some banana pudding last year as well.
Hey, have you ever done turkey necks? I had a friend of mine that was notorious. He and his family loved turkey necks, man. I mean, they do it for Thanksgiving. And that was not anything I could ever get into, but thank you for the reference this morning. Save the neck for me, Clark.
I feel like I need to glance at the C Spire text line because this is one where messages are coming in. 601-879-4395 is the number. The C Spire text line open to you. Again, 601-879-4395.
I've never done a turkey in a crock pot either, but apparently one of our listeners said their daughter had a baby shower Sunday and wanted Thanksgiving lunch, decided to cook a turkey in the crock pot. Says, man, it was so juicy it fell apart, tender and delicious. I've cooked about everything in a crock pot, just not a turkey.
Yeah.
You give that a try one day.
That
man.
makes some pretty good sense, and I'm assuming you probably do that with like a
smaller
4, maybe a 5-pound turkey.
Yeah.
I think much bigger than that. I mean, you'd have to have a really big crock pot, but anyway.
Man, I love a crock pot. That's kind of my go-to.
Jeff in Grenada, conversation we were having earlier this morning, says nothing better than watching a child grow into a young adult and become a better person than you. Amen.
Hey, there you go.
Amen to that. 1883, this date, the railroads, Canadian and American began using 4 time zone.
Yeah, they overbuilt the railroads in the 80s, so you had the crunch and crash of 93 to 96. In the 1800s, it was predominantly for overbuilding railroads. Yeah. Can you imagine? I don't know if we've built a railroad since then.
Robert suggests spatchcocking, and there are a lot of people that really love that. I might grab an extra one and do that just to kind of play with it. It's not going to be the focus or the main entree when I got a big crew coming and I hadn't tried it before.
It isn't hard. I mean, I've spatchcocked and fried. It's not that big. With the chicken. But
sure.
I've been looking. If anybody knows where I can find a whole bird spatchcocked and fried anywhere, let me know because I've been looking for one here to go try. I want to eat a whole bird spatchcocked. So
Sistrunk suggests that it has to be
peanut oil.
Well, he was suggesting it has to be deep fried. No, just disagree. Mm-hmm. But that's the
I'll
thing.
eat them anyway. Yeah,
to each his own.
Yeah, I like every which way you're going to cook them, other than dry, like you said.
This day in 326, the old St. Peter's Basilica was consecrated in Rome. Had a pretty good run. It was there from the 4th century through the 16th century, later replaced by the current basilica, which also on this day, exactly 1,300 years later, was consecrated in Rome, replacing the earlier basilica on the exact same site and becoming the world's largest Christian church. Obviously, that exists now inside the walls of the Vatican City, despite the fact that the Pope says there should be no walls. Not for the Vatican City, but like anywhere in the world. 1872, Susan B. Anthony had to go to the clink. She was arrested by a U.S. deputy marshal and charged with illegally voting. Susan B. Anthony, one of the true pioneers, the true activist fighters for women's right to vote. This day in 1928, it was Steamboat Willie. That's right, the first time that Mickey Mouse appeared in an animated cartoon with sound. Walt Disney gets the credit there.
Steamboat Willie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mickey Mouse turns out to have been a better name.
Yeah, you could say that.
Yeah. Steamboat Willie would have gotten canceled.
Oh,
Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, quickly.
All the way. He's good. This day in 1959, Ben-Hur, directed by William Wyler, starring Charlton Heston, premiered in New York City. Won Academy Award for Best Picture in 1960.
I mean, if you're William Wyler, you pretty much, you don't have to do anything after that. You can retire.
Yeah.
That's
Mailbox Money is going to be pretty good.
Epic movie there. I love it.
You can still catch the rerun of Ben-Hur on, like classic movies or something.
I've seen it this time of year. You're going to catch it easily. It's out there.
This day in 1978, one of the world's great tragedies in Jonestown, Guyana. 918 members of the People's Temple are murdered, or they commit suicide under the leadership of cult leader Jim Jones. They drank the Kool-Aid.
Killed a senator, too, man.
I'll say that day started with a representative from California and a couple of people that were murdered, and then the mass murder-suicide stuff started right after that.
Man, that dude was sketchy looking to begin with. Man, that jet black hair and the leisure suits. Yeah. Smoked glasses.
Two more for you real quick. In 1999, 12 people were killed, 27 injured when a bonfire under construction at Texas A&M collapsed.
I remember that.
That became the end of that really cool tradition at A&M. And in 2005, Walk the Line, starring Joaquin Phoenix as Johnny Cash and Reese Witherspoon as June Carter, directed by James Mangold, wins an Academy Award. It was released on this day in 2005. News and sports headlines coming up next. Mornings with Richard Cross.
From the White House to your hometown, this is where you find out what's happening. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Glad to be with you this morning. 601-879-4395. That is the number for the C Spire text line, 601-879-4395. You know that Black Friday and Cyber Monday are crazy. Avoid the crowd. Go ahead and get after it right now. Why wait? If you're ready for the best Black Friday and Cyber Monday deals right now, well, they are on right now at C Spire, online at cspire.com. Like the new iPhone 17 Pro, free with trade-in. Again, get yours at cspire.com. Mississippi's active public health emergency over rising infant deaths is even more urgent following the release of a new study showing the state has the highest preterm birth rate in the United States. March of Dimes, a nonprofit focused on ending preventable maternal and infant health risks, released its annual report card yesterday. And based on 2024 numbers, the country as a whole received a D+ grade. D as in dog. D as in dumb. Not good for the entire country. With a national preterm birth of 10.4%, that accounts to nearly 380,000 babies were born too early last year.
That sounds like a lot, doesn't it? I mean, 380,000.
And Mississippi received an F grade with a preterm birth rate of 15%. Within this report that was released, stark racial disparities were also highlighted in the study, with black babies in Mississippi 1.5 times more likely to be preterm than all other babies. Now, Mississippi is not alone in its problem with preterm birth rates. Other states to get F grades: Arkansas, Louisiana, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, Kentucky, and West Virginia. Also Puerto Rico. Of the 7 states to receive an F grade, 3, Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia, have not fully expanded Medicaid, showing that there is no silver bullet fix to maternal and infant health coverages. Mississippi has extended coverage to women for 1 year postpartum. Authors of the study believe that full expansion, doula reimbursement, and paid family leave would all be beneficial. I mean, they would be beneficial for mothers and creating extra time there. Does that help with preterm births, though? I don't know.
I would say probably not. Mary has had a couple of guests on in the healthcare world that have dealt with this issue a little bit, and it's a pretty diverse problem as far as what we're looking at. It's not one fix, obviously. Yeah. Processes, definitely need to change, it seems. But yet there are a lot of people out there at the community level that are boots on the ground that can tell you a lot more about what they're encountering. And poverty is definitely one of them that is a contributing factor, amongst many other things that go along with poverty. That has a lot to do with the premature births in the state. I did not know that the number was 380,000. Yeah. I did know that it was significantly high. Yeah. I mean,
well, and I suppose where some of the money piece that we're talking about and fully funding Medicaid and goes into some of the prenatal stuff, some of the stuff that happens to the mother for the mother during the term in which she is carrying a child, that contributes to the time in which that child is ultimately born.
And makes sense. And then the access to health care in rural communities, things that we've debated here on this show for 2 years probably since you've been on it. Those are real issues. Yeah. There's no easy fix to them, and that's why we continue to debate these issues.
Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College announced that men's soccer player Landon Perry was killed in a car crash on Sunday afternoon. The 18-year-old freshman defender on the Gulf Coast soccer team. He played in high school for D'Iberville before joining the team in Perkinston. Authorities responded to a crash at 5:20 on Perkinston Silver Run, west of the college's campus. The Stone County Coroner's Office stated that Perry and a friend were heading back to campus on electric scooters when a car hit them. Perry died at a local emergency room, while the friend, whose name has not been released, sustained minor injuries. It's the second death of a student athlete at MGCCC in recent months. You may remember football player Marcus Dickey died in a car crash back in August. Dr. Mary Graham, the college's president, athletic director Stephen Campbell, issued statements yesterday after Perry's passing. Our family is grieving in the loss of a bright young life. The president said, we hold the students' loved ones close in our thoughts and remain committed to supporting our students and employees during this difficult time. The athletics director added, our prayers go out to the Perry family. Landon was an outstanding young man, and he will always be a cherished member of the Gulf Coast family. Really, really sad stuff there. Let's Time for your morning sports update brought to you by Pearl River Resort. You may find them online at pearlriverresort.com, or you can find them in person when you go to Philadelphia, right there into Choctaw, Mississippi. You can't miss the big golden moon on the side of the highway. You don't want to miss what's inside. Casino thrills, family fun, live entertainment, and just across the street, the Dancing Rabbit Golf Club. Book your tee time online at dancingrabbitgolf.com. Yesterday, the SEC handed out its weekly awards, and one guy that plays for a Mississippi team and one guy that's from Mississippi were the offensive players of the week. They shared the honor. For Ole Miss, Kejuan Lacey turned in an historic day in Ole Miss's win over Florida. A career-high 224 yards and 3 rushing touchdowns on 31 carries. It's the 8th most rushing yards in a single game in Ole Miss history, most by any Rebel since Brandon Bolden in 2010. Scoring his 17th, 18th, and 19th touchdowns, he broke and then padded the record for rushing touchdowns in a single season. Also broke the single-season all-purpose touchdown record of 17. You had several guys that had done that. Quinshon Judkins, Brandon Bolden, and Deuce McAllister. His 114 points shattered the single-season record for most points by a non-kicker, but it looks like Kejuan Lacey is on his way to becoming the guy that has scored more points than anybody in a single season. He is currently 15 points behind Caden Davis, who just last year set the record with 129. And then a Lawrence County native, Ahmad Hardy, the running back from Missouri, turned in the 6th 300-yard rushing game in SEC history. In a 49-27 win over Mississippi State, he ran for exactly 300 yards and 3 touchdowns on 25 carries. That is 12 yards per carry. Converted first downs on 10 of his 25 runs. He had rushes in the game for 72, 43, 34, 22, and 21, with touchdown runs of 72 yards, 43 yards, and 10 yards. 7th 100-yard rushing game of the year for Ahmad Hardy. Really, really good football player. The Champions Classic is tonight. That is the annual 4-team rotational basketball event that is kind of made for TV. Well, it's absolutely made for TV. It's an ESPN event. But it is in the Garden. Not the Boston Garden, but Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena. 5:30 Central Time tonight. You've got number 17, Michigan State, number 12, Kentucky. And then at 8 o'clock, it's number 24, Kansas, and number 5, Duke. So a couple of really good basketball games between those two games. So at about 7:30, 7:45 Central, you will have the release of the 3rd college football playoff poll of this year. And a lot of eyes going to be on there to see where Ole Miss is when that new ranking comes out tonight. Speaking of Ole Miss, the Rebels will be back on the hardwood themselves tonight. Rebels are at home at the Pavilion hosting Austin Peay. Ole Miss off to a 4-0 start. Austin Peay is 3-1. Rebels are led in scoring by Ilyas Kamardine, who is averaging 16 points per game while shooting 60% from the field. Ole Miss is a team scoring 85 points per game. That's your morning sports update brought to you by Pearl River Resort. We'll check in on the lottery when we come back with you. It's Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
She's a lady, talking about that little lady, and the lady is mine.
From the Venable Glass.
Start your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
I can tell that we are getting close to the Egg Bowl. The annual meeting between Mississippi State and Ole Miss on the gridiron.
How do you know this?
The text line gets spicier about 2 weeks out, but here's the thing. You're going to come at me on the text line, accuracy matters because I'm probably going to check you, and I'm probably going to have something a little witty, maybe even a little smart-aleck, a little in-your-face to say. So when I was telling the story about Kewan Lacey a moment ago and talking about his record-setting rushing touchdown night, and you send me, of course without a name, 17 broke the record? Ha! Mississippi State touchdown record is 34. To which I responded, congratulations. Ole Miss has been using a little tool called the forward pass for quite some time now. Want to compare quarterback numbers and records? But also, no, 34 is not the record at Mississippi State. You're wrong. The single season rushing touchdown record at Mississippi State actually is also 19. It belongs to Vic Ballard in his outstanding 2010 season while wearing the maroon and white. So, thanks for playing. Mm-hmm. What's the saying about play stupid games and win stupid prizes?
That's right, yeah.
Well, there you go. Oh, yeah. Yeah. All right. Easy archery.
It does get a little chippy.
Easy archery comes on the C Spire text line. He says, I'm just like, hey, Dad, I just wish State was better. I hear you, man.
They were close this year.
I hear you.
On some games, man.
Yeah, but I think people are tired of hearing that. I think they're tired of hearing we were close. Like, there's a scoreboard, and they're not finishing in first place on that scoreboard nearly enough.
We went through a little stretch there before Kiffin. I remember.
That's right.
Yeah. So I mean, it's cyclical.
Stinky.
It sucks. It's no good. But you know, once you turn the corner, if you do, it's a totally different feeling. And now you're just praying you don't lose two games. You know, that's really like, please don't lose two.
I don't think Mississippi State. I don't think you're ingratiating yourself with any Mississippi State fans right this second.
I remember we were hoping to win 2 or 3. So you know, I know how you feel.
I think
I'm not worried about ingratiating myself with you. I've been through it. Been an Ole Miss fan a long time, man. So
here we go. So now mornings with Richard Cross and Sports Talk are both Ole Miss homer time. It's tiring.
Oh, goodness.
No, what's tiring is your lack of a sense of humor. Yeah. That's what's tiring. Yeah. All right, here we go. Mississippi Lottery update, mslottery.com. The estimated jackpot for tomorrow, Wednesday, November 19th, $593 million. Estimated cash value, $277,600,000. That's because there was no winner last night. Monday night's numbers, 7, 33, 50, 57, 66. The Powerball was 23. Salute, MJ. Power play multiplier was 5. Told you yesterday there was a jackpot winner in Noonan, Georgia on the Mega Millions. That was $983 million. Good stuff. So the Powerball now keeps growing. Tickets start at $2 with the $1 add-on options of Power Play to multiply your prize and Double Play for a shot at a second drawing of numbers. Purchase your tickets at your nearest Mississippi Lottery authorized retailer. There you go. There you go. Oh, see, the back and forth continues.
Yeah.
Your immaturity is more tiring. My immaturity. Okay. All right.
I'm unabashedly an Ole Miss fan. I still pull for everybody else until they play Ole Miss. So,
and we get an extra week of it because there's no game this week. Yeah. So open date, and you get all of this week, and then
the build up
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week. Maybe you even have family that are either the dirty old Rebels on the other side or the dirty old Bulldogs. I mean, what I am hosting, what we are hosting at our house, it is a true cornucopia of collegiate loyalties. Got some Ole Miss fans.
Got to have an LSU fan mixed in.
Got some Mississippi State fans. Bunch of coon asses coming up.
I said you got to have a few of those in the mix.
Oh, I love my family, my wife's family that has become my family as well from Baton Rouge.
Oh yeah, it's great.
They're the
aunt
best.
that lived in Baton Rouge, so yeah, off of Moss Side Lane. So grew up going down there a lot. Loved my Baton Rouge folks.
Thankfully, no Florida fans. At least not that I know of.
My dad was he was a lawyer for a while, and he'd get us tickets. And I remember he got us, me and a buddy of mine, tickets to LSU Ole Miss game down there years ago. And we hooked up with some lawyers from Louisiana before that game. I don't remember anything for 2 days after that. So,
CC and Senatobia, interesting mindset here. Hopefully Kiffin is gone soon. I like winning, but I'd rather be 7-5 with a stand-up guy than 11-1 with a pretentious, self-serving scumbag. But that's just me. Yes, CC, it is.
Yeah, you
talk about your football coach, not your Sunday school teacher. But to each their own. You forgot how much not fun going 7-5 is. We're back with you right after this, just after the news.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on this show are not the opinions of TeleSouth Communications, its management, or advertisers.
Good morning, everybody. Time to wake up.
Time to shine! Start your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Richard on the radio, praying for another black domino. Oh, Lord, you gotta help me through these low down magnolia blues.
Welcome back. Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk Mississippi, streaming at supertalk.fm and SuperTalk TV. Glad to be with you this morning. MRC is presented by Community Bank, rooted in our community, communitybank.net. At Community Bank, we're more than just a place to manage your money. We're your neighbors, your partners, and your trusted financial advisors. For decades, we've been rooted in our community, helping families, small businesses, and individuals achieve their dreams. Whether it's opening your first savings account, planning for a brighter future, or growing your business, we're here every step of the way. We're dedicated to our customers, committed to your success, and always here when you need us. Community Bank, rooted in our community. Member FDIC. Thanks for joining us this morning. Of course, the C-Spire text line is always open, and it is active right out of the gate this morning. Having a little fun, or at least I hope we're having a little fun. I hope there's a sense of humor or two out there. This hour of Mornings with Richard Cross is brought to you by MWG Employer Services. Running a business is tough. And if you're struggling with HR, benefits, and payroll, you're not alone. That's where MWG Employer Services comes in. They can help. They can help with your payroll issues, with your HR issues, with benefits and all of the stuff that goes into that by providing a full range of employer services for you with a customized plan that is just for you. Call today, 601-206-7966, or go to mwgemployerservices.com. C-Spire text line, it is so foggy this morning in Laurel, you wouldn't believe how many people don't have their headlights on. Let's use that as a public service announcement. Much of the state of Mississippi, especially south of Highway 82, is dealing with pretty dense fog. Some places it's patchy, dense fog, so you kind of go in and out of it. Slow down just a touch. Make sure your headlights are on, low beams, not high beams, and be aware of what's around you. Just a little PSA for you. I've thought about this too much. I realize that I'm overthinking it. But I'm sensitive to this because I know some of you are sensitive to it. I have made a very concerted effort to leave sports conversation in the afternoon. You know that's what I've done for a dozen years, 15 years or so on the radio prior to sliding into this slot about a year ago. And so I was like, Richard, do you talk about this? Because it's kind of a sports story. But what we've always tried to do at SuperTalk Mississippi is make sure that the conversation with you on the radio is what you're talking about, what people are talking about, what is newsworthy. And I think the simple fact is, by the way, I just like a peek behind the curtain, what I try to do when I'm putting together the show rundown is have kind of our biggest story of the day lead the 7 o'clock hour. And I think the biggest story of the day and the week right now is the uncertainty with regard to the coaching situation at Ole Miss. Ole Miss fans are talking about it ad nauseum. Mississippi State fans are talking about it. LSU fans are talking about it. Florida fans are talking about it. The college football community is talking about it. And here we are at the end of the college football season. And it is taking the attention off of a historically good season for Ole Miss. And it's shining the light in a different place. It's shining the light squarely on Lane Kiffin. That's where the spotlight is right now. Somebody said with regard to my sports-related stuff, you don't try real hard. Well, yeah, we talk about sports one segment a day. We do it at 6:37 every single morning, just like to the person that told me earlier that they sure did miss Paul Gallo, just like your friend Paul Gallo did for 30 years.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It was one of his favorite things.
One segment a morning, because it matters to a lot of people. Mm-hmm. So in terms of an update, I don't really have one for you beyond late yesterday afternoon. I have not been on the phone this morning chasing down sources and trying to gather information. But the most recent update that I've got for you is that Lane Kiffin is undecided on his future right now. On Sunday afternoon, some of his family was in Gainesville, reportedly kind of checking out Gainesville, perhaps neighborhoods, schools, what it might be like for kids. Yesterday, some of his family was in Baton Rouge. He had some intrepid reporters in Baton Rouge staked out at the airport, and they got a couple of grainy pictures.
The Kiffin paparazzi.
Reports out of Baton Rouge are that there is a Godfather-like offer that is coming for Lane Kiffin that would make him the highest-paid coach in all of college football. I've said this to a number of people, and the thing about this is, you get messages on the side from people who are like, "Hey, what do you really think, though? Like, what's Lane Kiffin really? What's your gut on this?" And my gut is, I'm being completely honest with you, I don't know. And I have said on a number of occasions, if somebody tells you definitively that they know, they are either lying to you, they are sharing something with you that somebody told them that was a lie, or they just made it up out of thin air. Because if you talk to people that are close or connected to Lane Kiffin, they all say they don't know what he's going to do. They genuinely do not know what he is going to do. Money is not going to be the reason for a decision. Ole Miss is in a place financially that they'll do whatever they need to do in terms of salary, coaching salary, NIL, and more. That's just not going to be the deciding factor. I'll tell you who deserves a lot of credit in this. Keith Carter and Glenn Boyce, the athletics director and chancellor at Ole Miss. They have okay, look, if you don't want to listen, just change the station. like it's really, really simple. There is a knob on your radio. If you want to debate with me about what the topic is, I explained to you why we were talking about this. Feel free. Feel free. Sorry, I should have just ignored that and not thrown it out there to you. Lance, you're stirring the pot, too.
Well, I mean, it is Egg Bowl 2 weeks out. You got a coach at Ole Miss that may be pulling the parachute, taking off. State's had a bad year, according to their fans. And, man, everybody's testy. Everybody's ready for some turkey. It's just the way it is. So
the tryptophan nap can't get here soon enough.
Exactly. Yeah.
I do think that there is going to be clarity soon I hate to put an exact timeline on that. And it's, I don't know.
I mean, it's an interesting question. Do you pony up and keep the guy who's won at a level that
absolutely
you never have? Yeah, of course you're going to try to. Who knows what does anybody really know what Lane Kiffin wants? No, Lane Kiffin does, and we're all going to sit back and watch this, as he would say, get the popcorn ready. That's about where we are with this one.
Yeah,
and it's remarkable to me because Ole Miss has lost itself a couple of times as this has happened inside of the season with a great season on the line. I think this team may be a little different. I'm not saying that they are or aren't, but I have a feeling that we're getting pretty used to the reality that you have a good coach and people are going to come calling for him. That's just the way it is.
There are several of you that have asked the question, is the report that came out yesterday afternoon that Ole Miss has given him an ultimatum or a deadline where he has to give them an answer accurate? And the answer is no, but.
Yeah.
No, there is not. There is not a line drawn in the sand where there is you either give us an answer at this moment or you're fired. No, that is not accurate. There has been discussion between the administration and Lane Kiffin about the fact that some clarity and some closure is needed on this, and it's needed sooner rather than later. I do know that Lane Kiffin and his representatives have been in constant would be overstating it, but extremely regular contact and conversation. So Lane Kiffin's people, Ole Miss's administration, it's been a very open conversation for a month now. That's how long this has been going on. It has just reached the boiling point, a fever pitch in the last week. And a lot of that's driven kind of by the Florida media and the way that they have covered this. So that's kind of the update that we've got for you right there. We'll get into some news stories on the other side of this break. It's Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.
From the Venable Glass.
Start your day right.
Good morning, America. How are you? Honestly, I have no idea.
Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.
C-Spire text line, that's the best way to be part of the conversation, and good grief, a bunch of you have. So I'm going to zip through these messages, and then we'll jump into a couple of big national stories. Peter Costa going to join me in the next segment this morning. We'll talk finance, markets, economy, and all the things that are happening. This is actually, it really does tie to news and economics in North Mississippi in the Oxford area. A message on here that says Lane is a big reason the economics of North Mississippi has rocketed up. And some would say you overplay that. And if you say North Mississippi kind of writ large, that might be an exaggeration, but it's not an exaggeration in Oxford. You can directly tie increased sales tax revenues, full hotels, busy restaurants, thriving retail businesses to the success of Ole Miss football. And that's not just an Oxford thing. That's a Starkville thing. That's a Hattiesburg thing. It is a proven fact that communities that have universities, major universities, thrive when their athletics teams, specifically football, are excelling.
I bartended up there for about 4 years in between being a financial advisor and this full time, and that was in the Matt Luke era. And as a bartender, we made an absolute killing.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine what it would be like in the environment you have now and the growth that has happened in Oxford. And I would have to say resulting from, good economics as well. But at the same time, winning football games definitely brings people in, man. I mean, it's amazing, the difference to me, because like I said, you'd have some vacant hotel rooms here and there and still have a huge weekend. But I mean, that place has been booked up solid for years now.
Yeah.
Yeah, the impact's strong. You can't dismiss that.
Carrion McComb says if he announces he's leaving, does he coach the playoffs? I would say that is almost 100% a no. There are varying opinions on that. By the way, there's some that are like, hey, this is your chance. Do what you got to do. Who cares what anybody thinks? Who cares what anybody says it looks like? And there are others who are like, no, you just can't do that. No, you can't have somebody who has accepted a job at another school continue to coach your team. It just doesn't work that way.
We did try that before with the offensive coordinator, Levy, when he took off. So the results were not good that weekend in New Orleans.
Let's see here. Somebody says, look at Tuscaloosa with Nick Saban. Yeah. I mean, the Alabama campus and Tuscaloosa itself became a different place in that 16-year window. They just did. Somebody says, we'll use this as a segue. I think Kiffin is mentioned in the Epstein files, just a rumor.
Yeah.
Good grief.
Well, that's the holdup, right? I mean, he's 10-1. You can't let it out yet.
So here you go. Former Treasury Secretary Larry Summers said yesterday that he, quote, will be stepping back from public commitments, close quote, amid revelations that he communicated frequently with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Summers said, I am deeply ashamed of my actions and recognize the pain they have caused. I take full responsibility for my misguided decision to continue communicating with Mr. Epstein. Summers was the Treasury Secretary under President Clinton, who also was an associate of Jeffrey Epstein. He was also the National Economic Council Director under President Obama and corresponded with Epstein numerous times through the 2010s, according to emails released by the House Oversight Committee last week. The communications occurred after Epstein pleaded guilty in 2008 to one count each of soliciting minors for prostitution and soliciting a prostitute. Epstein served 13 months in prison. Larry Summers is a former president of Harvard University, and he still teaches at the school, adding that he will continue to fulfill his teaching obligations but will be stepping back from public commitments as one part of his broader effort to rebuild trust and repair relationships with the people closest to him. That's his plan. I'll be interested to see if Harvard perhaps has a different plan. The Hill reached out to Harvard for comment. They did not respond. One person that has responded is Democrat Senator Elizabeth Warren, a longtime critic of Larry Summers. She has called on Harvard to cut ties with him. The emails last week show that Summers maintained ties to Epstein, reaching out to the disgraced financier on various topics, including global affairs and an apparent relationship with a woman. Summers has been married since 2005. It was also like off-color humor. In 2017, for instance, he told Epstein in an email that, quote, he observed that half the IQ in the world was possessed by women. Said that during a visit to Saudi Arabia, but then added, I didn't tell the Saudis that it was due to women accounting for more than 51% of the world's population. A joke that's really not funny, but gives you a little insight into the way that he thinks. Said in the same email that he is, quote, trying to figure out why American elite think if you murder your baby by berating and abandonment, it must be irrelevant to your admission to Harvard, but hit on a few women 10 years ago and can't work at a network or a think tank. And then he says, do not repeat this insight, in all caps. Oh, by the way, Epstein donated more than $9 million dollars to Harvard between the years of 1998 and 2008 prior to his conviction, and then some donations occurred after his Florida arrest on charges of soliciting a prostitute in 2006. So, dovetailing with that story, on Sunday, an about-face by President Trump in which he said Republicans should vote to release all of the Epstein files. This after being very publicly against the release of the files for the last several months. House Republicans are expected to join their Democrat colleagues in a near unanimous vote this week in support of releasing all of the Epstein files. GOP aides said the vote to force the Department of Justice to hand over all of the federal government's unclassified records, documents, communications, and investigative materials on late powerful pedophile Epstein was a foregone conclusion after President Trump urged House lawmakers to do it because we have nothing to hide. His words. Once passed in the House, then Senate Republicans will have to vote on the issue, and there is already reportedly enough support for it there on the Senate side as well. President Trump said yesterday, bring me the bill passed by Congress and I will sign it quickly. His direct quote, let the Senate look at it. Let everybody look at it. A White House official said the president has always been committed to transparency and accountability when it comes to the Epstein files and delivered on it by having his administration fully cooperate with the House Oversight Committee's production of tens of thousands of investigative materials. Now, Thomas Massey pointed out yesterday that, the White House says they've released all these files. How are we going to know when we get the actual files that we want? And he answered his own question by saying, when powerful men are named. He said, that's when we'll know we've got the real stuff. The administration official added that the only reason Democrats care about this is because they think they can use this against the president and the administration, and noted that the Democrat Party has not had much to say about the delegate from the Virgin Islands, Stacey Plaskett, who was texting directly with Jeffrey Epstein during a congressional hearing in real time as an interrogation was going on. Trump said on Truth Social, nobody cared about Jeffrey Epstein when he was alive, and if Democrats had anything, they would have released it before our landslide election victory. Some members of the Republican Party are being used, and we can't let that happen. Let's start talking about the Republican Party's record-setting achievements and not fall into the Epstein trap, which is actually a curse on the Democrats, not us. Make America great again, the president wrote in that post on Truth Social. No names can be redacted if this is passed for reasons of embarrassment, reputational harm, or political sensitivity, according to the text of the House resolution. However, victims' privacy must be protected, according to the resolution. Within 30 days, DOJ investigative materials on Epstein, his flight logs, his accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, other individuals linked to him, and internal information about his 2008 non-prosecution agreement, civil cases, and eventual death in federal custody must be made available in searchable format according to the measure that is soon to be before the House and then the Senate for a vote. Peter Costa joins us coming up next. It's Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk, Mississippi.
From the Sea.
Mornings with Richard Cross is brought to you by Covington County Hospital in Collins, where your health matters.
Good morning. Good morning to you there.
Okay, up and at 'em. Start your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
You've got it locked into Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi. The show's presented by Community Bank, rooted in our community, communitybank.net. It is my pleasure, as always, to welcome in my first guest this morning, Peter Costa, former governor of the New York Stock Exchange and market analyst with CNBC. Kind of looks like he's coming to us from a witness protection program there with the lighting this morning. on beautiful and lovely Long Island. Hello, Peter.
Good morning, Richard. I just don't know how to correct the lighting in this room. And you know what? I'm in this room and it's bright as can be, but yet the way that the camera or whatever, I mean,
I'm just giving you a hard time. I can't explain it. We just got to get you a ring light, you know, like one of those selfie lights that goes with you that brightens up your face.
I would, you know, if you paid me, I would. But right now, you know, money's tight. So we're just going to have to go with the incandescent bulb that I have in my lamp.
It is all right. Great to be with you. Great to see you. We've heard it said a number of times, probably more times that we can count, that the market and the economy are not the same thing. This raging market that we've had for seemingly years, certainly for months, seems to be cooling just a little bit over the last couple of weeks. Is there a direct correlation in your mind between what the market is doing right now and the economy, or, as we've been told, are those two very different things?
Well, they are two different things, but there is an interconnectivity between the economy and the market. I mean, you have to be realistic about it. But what we've seen up until probably 3 weeks ago was a real large disconnect between the market and the economy. The economy was doing okay. I'd say that we're in a good spot. I mean, there are some problems, but there was always problems in the economy. Mm-hmm. But the market was not reacting like that. The market was reacting like we were in a full-blown, who knows, I mean, post-Trump bump or whatever. And it's been led by maybe 15 or 20 stocks. So to me, we had a market that was probably overvalued. And I think I've said this to you before. I felt the market was overvalued. And I still think it is, even though we've come back a little bit. But you've got a lot of money invested in 7 or 8 major stocks and maybe 10 not major stocks. And there's a tremendous amount of money on the table right now, relying on earnings and relying on the story that's going to continue. And that story is AI. And I think that some of that story is kind of overblown. Only right now, in 10 years, it won't be. But right now, I think the amount of money that's been thrown in investment and infrastructure and whatnot it's out of control. And I think that people are investing thinking that this money is going to have a 7 to 10% return on it. And I'm not sure how anybody could see that. I just don't see it happen.
So, and this is not, I guess there's probably some disclaimer about investment advice. You got to do that at your own risk. But Peter's been in this world for a long time. And I'm curious, when you look at these AI stocks in particular, whether we're talking about chip makers or AI companies or companies that have AI subsets to what they're doing, whether it's through data centers or otherwise, are these still good investments? Are they good long-term plays, or are you steering clear of that?
Well, no, I think that, me personally, I think that if you're going to invest in the AI play, infrastructures are, everyone thinks that's where the money should go. But in reality, I think there's lower risk if you invest in companies that are creating software for AI.
Okay.
I mean, it's the infrastructure on that is just human. It's a human element, and having the ability to program and build platforms that are going to take advantage of AI and what it can offer. I think that's a little safer bet, only because of the initial and ongoing cost. Whereas like a Google spend, $150 or $200 billion building out, data centers and the infrastructure that goes around that. I'm not sure, I think Google's a great business and I love them and I have them in my portfolio and I'll never sell them. But I think that they swallowed some of the Kool-Aid there. And I think that might end up hurting them at some point. Thankfully, that company, Google especially, as far as I'm concerned, has a very strong revenue stream outside of anything to do with AI. So to me, I think they can weather the storm going forward. I think Microsoft was another company that can weather the storm going forward. But there aren't that many companies that have that kind of cash flow that can sustain the cost and then, get the benefits of it down the road. So you have to be very selective.
Peter, I don't know that we've ever seen a company that is so inextricably tied to its founder and its leader as we do with Tesla and its relationship with Elon Musk. Maybe Apple, when Steve Jobs was running the company, there was kind of that type of relationship. But I think in the time since Steve Jobs' death, we've seen that there was more to it than just Steve Jobs, and they've been able to move forward and continue to grow. So this is all kind of tied together, and I guess I'm throwing a lot at you here. The debate and the recent shareholder vote about the compensation package for Elon Musk over time, which is obscene on the surface, and maybe when you dig a little deeper, you're like, well, if he delivers on the promises that he's making, then everybody's going to win. Are you a fan of Tesla and I guess SpaceX to a certain degree as well with Musk running that, or does it concern you that there's one guy that seems to be the driving force behind the whole thing?
Well, it always concerns me when there's one person that is so integral to a business because, not that I wish anything harmful on Elon Musk, but you never know. I mean, what happens to Tesla if something happens to Elon Musk? That's always going to be a concern. But as far as like what Musk has done and the companies that he's running, to me, the guy is a genius. I think he's a little odd, but most geniuses are odd. And he's putting people into space, and he's putting satellites into space, and NASA, with all the government money that God has given them, they couldn't do this. And this guy has went out and done it. So to me, I don't know about the pay package, but I mean, you really think about it. I think he has to hit like an $8 trillion market cap to start receiving any of that money, which, I mean, it'll happen. I just don't know if it's going to happen in the next 10 years. It is obscene. To me, I don't know why he'd even want it. What is the point? I mean, once you have, after your first trillion, what do you do? I mean, what do you do? I just don't get it. But you know what? He's got he's a genius, and he also has a huge ego. So I guess that's part of it. But I give him credit for everything he's done. I'm not a big fan of Tesla because I think they had their advantage for, maybe 4 years of just having the technology and having the infrastructure to build out all these cars. But I think the rest of the world is catching up, and the Chinese definitely are catching up. So I don't think their advantage is going to be that much longer.
Is Tesla still a car company, or is it something else now in your mind?
Well, I mean, it still produces. I mean, it produces over 1 million cars a year. So you know what? It's still a car company. And what they have proven, though, is that they can make electric cars and they can make them profitable, which obviously, if you've seen what happened with Ford, they have a Ford Lightning, which is supposed to be the greatest truck that was ever built in mankind's history, and they couldn't get them off the showroom floor. So, yeah, you couldn't give them away. So, he's created a market. And he's created a quality product, and, he has still some runway with that. But I think a lot of the electric vehicle, the rush to EVs is kind of over. I mean, people are going to be buying them because they like them, but I don't think you're going to get that many more converts. I had an electric car. I loved it. But I'd rather give the Saudis my money than give, my electric company the money. So I have a big truck, and I like my big truck, right? And I'm going to keep with my big truck.
On the other side of the break, let's transition the conversation to energy. You mentioned the Saudis. Oil right now trading at about $60 a barrel. That is not a trading point that encourages offshore drilling domestically. And it is a spot where it causes the Saudis to not have quite as big a checkbook for some of the investment that they have promised in the United States. So let's pick up the conversation there on the other side of this break. Peter Costa is my guest, former market analyst with CNBC. He was also a governor on the New York Stock Exchange. want to remind you quickly that coming up tomorrow, Sports Talk Mississippi will be at Scruggs Farm, Lawn, and Garden in Saltillo, gearing up for Super Santa. That's this coming Saturday, November 22nd, with holiday specials on clothing, sporting goods, feed, and John Deere equipment. Scruggs Farm, Lawn, and Garden, 3575 Tom Watson Drive in Saltillo. You've got it locked into Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk Mississippi. More with Peter Costa after this short break.
From the Venable Glass.
Wake up! Rise and shine!
Start your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross.
Nice early morning surprise.
On Super Talk Mississippi.
For Peter Costa, it is not a semi-charmed life. It is a fully charmed life. He is my guest this morning. Mornings with Richard Cross, Super Talk Mississippi, former market analyst with CNBC. Probably saw him on television for years and years. If you were a regular with CNBC, also a governor on the New York Stock Exchange. All right, to set us up for this conversation, I would like to take you to the great philosopher Monty Miller. If you don't recognize that name, maybe you didn't watch Season 1 of Landman. It was a Paramount Plus production. Season 2 just began. This was in a boardroom full of oil executives.
I care that the price of oil stays between $76 and $88 a barrel. That is what we should be discussing.
I'm not going to play any more of that because it gets explicit very quickly with some of his other language in there. But a sweet spot for the price of oil, and the idea was as long as it's not too high or it's not too low, then the oil industry can make a profit and it can just kind of move on in perpetuity and create a stable market. Oil right now trading at about $60 a barrel. I think sometimes we don't really know what that means. There was a report that I was reading yesterday, the Wall Street Journal, about Saudi Arabia. And for them to balance their budget as a country, not that they're broke, but they need oil to be at about $92 a barrel. What does the price of oil have to do with energy as we look at it in the broader scope right now?
Well, first off, if you think about the Saudis, and this is just something I'm going to throw out there, and I've thought about this a lot, and I'll answer your question. The Saudis say they need oil around $92 a barrel. I think 90 to 92. Right now it's at 60. So every barrel they're pumping out of the ground, they're not making any money on it. And what they have to do, because the Saudi Sovereign Wealth Fund has the bulk of the cash that they haven't spent, which is vested in U.S. equities and European equities. So if they need to start raising cash to continue the massive infrastructure projects they have going on, they're going to be selling stocks. So you always have to keep that in mind. The same thing happens with the Norwegian Sovereign Wealth Fund. Same thing. They don't have that problem because their needs are a lot less than the Saudis. So with that in mind, the amount of oil that's being pumped out of the ground is, if you look at it, we're pumping a little bit more than we have been historically in the U.S. The U.S., number is not $75 a barrel. I don't know where he came up with that. It's around $70 a barrel. Canadians is $68. Venezuelan, if they ever pumped any oil, was about 62. So, it's right now we're at probably the lowest price, or one of the lowest prices we've been at in over 5 years. So this is good for the consumer, but as far as the oil industry, it's not good. They're not going to be losing money, but they're not going to be making massive profits, which for an extended period of time ends up costing is much bigger than just not making profits. It's now cutting back on exploration, building new facilities, new oil tankers, you name it. This can have very long-term effects if it stays at this level. And I don't know what the price of oil in Mississippi, price of gas is in Mississippi, but in New York, it really hasn't gone down that much.
Yeah.
I mean, for the last year, it's been around $2.90 to $3.09 a gallon for regular gas. It's still there. And the price of oil has gone down 20%. So to me, I think that there's definitely a disconnect between the price of gas and the price of oil. But as far as like the energy market, this is, I don't think we're going to be in this for very long. I think the Saudis will end up, and OPEC Plus will end up cutting production instead of increasing production like they have. And, if the Chinese, who are the biggest users of oil in the world, if their economy starts turning a little bit better, then the demand will be up again and prices will rise. So I don't think this is going to be a long-term situation.
When I hear you describe that, when I hear you describe that, Peter, it's this reminder that even though we have divergent interest, we are truly a global economy, not just the United States sitting out here on an island all by itself.
Yeah. No, I mean, we trade and we import, probably 3 or 4 times what we export. So we are a major supplier of U.S. dollars to countries that actually need U.S. dollars. And, the demand, with the oil market, and this is something I've gone to colleges and lectured on, it's the simplest market in all the world. Every economy, everything you ever talk about, the oil market is the perfect example of supply and demand.
Yeah.
If they're ever going to have an economics 101, oil market is the perfect example. Demand is up, price goes up. Demand is down, price goes down. It's very, very simple. The only time that there's a disconnect is when there is a global geopolitical event.
15 seconds left.
Short-term bump. Okay, because there's a short-term bump in prices, and usually that's just speculation. So, we're in a good spot for us, but it doesn't seem to be, really helping all that much as far as, the individual. But we will see it eventually.
Peter Costa, always appreciate the time. Great conversation, my friend. 8 o'clock hour on the way. It's Mornings with Richard Cross. News is next.
Your Super Talk Mississippi.
Ladies and gentlemen,
here we go. Now back to Mornings with Richard Cross.
Now that's entertainment.
8 o'clock hour, Mornings with Richard Cross, Super Talk Mississippi. A pleasure to have you along for the ride. MRC, presented by Community Bank, rooted in our community, communitybank.net. Let's talk about one of our local communities in Mississippi. How about Meridian and Lauderdale County? Laura Carmichael joins us now. She is Executive Director of Visit Meridian and Lauderdale County Tourism. Merry Meridian has arrived. Laura, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing well. Appreciate some of your time. This is the time of the year when people start thinking holiday season, Thanksgiving plans, Christmas plans, festivals, Christmas parades, lights, decorations, all the deal. Tell us about what's happening in Meridian.
Oh, wow. We've got such a great holiday lineup for Meridian, and we just want to invite everybody to come and experience some of the fun things we got going on. It kicks off this week at the Max, and that's the Mississippi Arts and Entertainment Experience. Beautiful, beautiful place, and we're going to have a merry night market where you can come and enjoy shopping and music and take a tour of the Max while you're there. A lot of fun surprises, probably even a visit from Santa. So that's going to kick us off. Yeah. So, and that just leads into all the other fun things we've got going on in Meridian this season.
So in terms of holiday-specific activity, you mentioned Santa and all the things that are happening.
Yes.
So much of what you do is about driving visitors, creating interest in shopping local and, propping up the local economy. What does that look like?
It looks really good. Tourism is the fourth largest industry in the state. So we take a lot of pride in all our attractions and the museums we have and the wonderful events that really drive those people to come and check us out and see what we're all about. They may stay a couple of days. They may eat at our restaurants, stay in our hotels. So that really does drive economy. And we always say it starts with a visit. And, if you create a place where people like to visit, they may want to live here one day. So all these things are a plan, for bringing people in and just seeing what Meridian has to offer.
From a location standpoint, Meridian, not far from the Alabama state line in east central Mississippi, just due east of Jackson. How many of your visitors are coming from Alabama into Mississippi versus other parts of Mississippi that are coming to Meridian? And I know that may be anecdotal as opposed to like an exact number.
Right. It's amazing, the traffic we get from Alabama. We're just right on the line. And then we also get people from communities, Butler and Gilbertown and Livingston, for some of our events. And it just, it's really good to see those folks come in and see what we've got going on in Mississippi. And it's important for us, to make sure that our reach is, going to those communities that are outside, around 90 miles or so out. So, that's part of our mission, and we keep that going with all these great things that all our partners that they have going on. We like to promote that and send our message out.
Visiting with Laura Carmichael. She's Executive Director of Visit Meridian and Lauderdale County Tourism. So many of our hometowns across the state of Mississippi have focused on their downtown area or their Main Street area. We went through that time where it felt like everything was moving away from downtown with the construction of shopping centers and shopping areas and residential areas, but a lot of it has come back to the center of our towns. What does that look like in Meridian?
It's great. Our downtown is wonderful. We have a very vibrant Main Street program, and a lot of those events that you're going to be seeing over the holidays are driven by that Main Street, their initiatives and what they're doing. So, it makes our job easy to have all these great things to promote. But downtown Meridian is walkable. We have 6 museums just in the downtown area, great shopping, great restaurants. We have Wyman's, which is Mississippi's oldest restaurant, right downtown. So it's very important, that we're great partners with Main Street. And although we market the entire county, that downtown platform is such a big piece of what we do.
We've talked a lot about the Max, and you mentioned it a second ago.
Yes.
What has that meant for Meridian? Just the focus on the arts and bringing different performers in and having different exhibits and artists and all kinds of community activities.
It's been so important. Meridian is a cultural hub. And, we're kind of the center of it all, but we do take a lot of pride on our roots in music and arts and culture. And, when the Max opened 6 years ago, that brought all those artists to life, in Meridian. So, it's a game changer for us. There's several catalysts that really has made a difference in downtown Meridian and Meridian. The Max being one of them, years ago when there was the vision from the MSU Riley Center and the impact that has had on our downtown. And then the 3-foot hotel that was revitalized about 5 years ago. That's been huge for us because now we have a downtown, we like to call it a skyscraper hotel, but we have that hotel that's sitting right next to a beautiful conference center and a performing arts venue. And then you have the Match just 2 blocks away. So all these things really work together to make us a really special and unique place to visit.
We said Merry Meridian a second ago. Let's revisit Merry Night Market that is coming up Thursday evening, late afternoon into the early evening hours. Tell us a little bit more about Merry Night Market.
So it's a free event. The community comes, and visitors come in. They're able to shop. They're able to get some home baked goods and things you might want to have for the Thanksgiving holiday next week. And so it's music, and it's just a lot of fun, a community event that everybody enjoys. And that segues right into the November 22nd and November 23rd. We have two wonderful, month-long events at our local. We have a children's museum. The Mississippi Children's Museum Meridian is right over the bridge from downtown, and they're starting their Winter Wonderland, which is November 22nd through January the 4th. And the families and the children can come and enjoy the museum all decked out for Christmas and the holidays. So it's a lot of fun events going on there throughout the month. And then, of course, award-winning, the Mary Hope Trees of Christmas. And I highly recommend that to anybody that wants to see this beautiful home, historic home. It's a 20-room mansion, and they have over 70 dazzling trees that have been decorated for the holiday season, and it's a must-see for anybody that wants to come to Meridian.
When my wife tells me we need a second Christmas tree, I kind of curl back a little bit. 70 of them,
right.
That is quite the undertaking. That's incredible.
Yes. And it's beautiful. And the really special thing about it is, a lot of these trees are the traditional trees that are up. There's one tree, the Mary Hope tree, that's up all year round, but then our local organizations pitch in and they decorate the other trees in this beautiful home. So it's got a lot of special meaning to it. There's organizations for the first time that have pitched in. I know the Raleigh Center, their team has created a tree this year. So it's just, it's just something that not only visitors enjoy, but it's a very big part of our community and our holiday tradition here at Meridian.
Last thing for you, there have been so many talented individuals that have come from the state of Mississippi, and specifically from Meridian. You've got the Hall of Fame at the Max. Is that an annual new inductees happen, or is that kind of an ongoing, when it feels like somebody new needs to be inducted, there's a discussion about that, or is it more of an exhibit?
So the Hall of Fame, it is something that happens every 3 years. So it's a big event centered around those artists. You see the likes of Jimmy Rogers and B.B. King and Elvis Presley. So there is a large event at the Max that celebrates those 5 or 6 inductees. And then also around Meridian on our downtown sidewalks, we have the Hall of Fame. They all have markers that are in the sidewalk. And so you get to see that as well. So we have our own Hollywood Walk of Stars, but it's, of course, our Mississippi artists that mean so much to our state.
And the most recent inductee class, William Ferris and Shelby Foote and Bobby Gentry and Mac McAnally and Natasha Trethewey. Just an incredible class and so many great talents.
Yes, Mac McAnally was fabulous, on the stage at the Raleigh Center when we had that celebration. So just so blessed to have so many great artists from Mississippi. We have a lot to be proud of.
I remember in an Egg Bowl a few years ago when Mac McAnally performed the national anthem. It was just him and a microphone and his guitar, and it was perfect. So, Laura, thank you so much for your time this morning. We wish you a happy entire holiday season. Happy Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, all of those things, and encourage people to check out Meridian. Thanks so much for your time.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Laura Carmichael, Executive Director with Visit Meridian and Lauderdale County Tourism. Great spot to stop in, and the Max, really a special place there in Meridian. We're back with you right after this. Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk Mississippi, streaming online at supertalk.fm and SuperTalk TV.
From the Venable Glass Traffic.
Time to switch on.
Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Yeah!
When I get so low and on you got
cause mama, I'm sure all the hand and I just around.
Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi. Despite the fact that we had a little fun back and forth on the C Spire text line earlier this morning.
You're hard to handle, Richard.
I know. I understand that. Jane probably agrees. I genuinely appreciate all of you being part of this. We can call it family, right? The MRC family, the greater SuperTalk family. Love the interaction with you on the C Spire text line. Whether you agree or disagree. Paul and Hernando says, doesn't Peter Costa have a website or something? Yes, actually Peter does. It's not a website. It is a newsletter that he sends out. And it's part of Substack. Let's see here. Let me just check this to be sure. If you type into a search engine Peter Costa Substack, you will find Costa's Corner. All you got to do is plug your email in. Just click on that link and plug in your email and hit subscribe. It doesn't cost you a thing. And Peter's 2-3 times a week newsletter will be in your inbox. And I've said this to Peter before. Some days I read it and I'm glued to every word. Some days it's, just another thing in my inbox that ends up getting deleted. He doesn't care about that, but the insights are interesting, and his writing style is very conversational. It's easy to read, doesn't take long, and there's pretty interesting stuff in there. Thanks for asking that, Paul. So it's the Peter Costa Substack, Costa's Corner. Got another message that said, great interview following that conversation with Peter as well. He's a really bright guy. He's got a lot of experience. He has seen the way Wall Street operates change dramatically over the last, I don't want to date him, 3-4 decades. And a good dude, too. Good dude. Charles and Matheson, late to the conversation this morning. Have you covered the massive Cloudflare worldwide outage? We have not discussed that this morning. There are a number of websites. In fact, earlier this morning, CNBC had a big orange bar across the top of their website that, was Cloudflare specific. And because we were talking on the radio, I wasn't able to plug in anything there. But kind of derailed X for a little while. And I'm sure
I think it's still having issues this morning. Yeah, you're having a hard time getting a live feed from X this morning. So
yeah. Let's see here. Here's a story from a couple of hours ago. Cloudflare outage is taking down large parts of the internet, including X, ChatGPT, and more. Large parts of the internet struggling to load right now following an issue at Cloudflare. The Internet Infrastructure Service Provider has confirmed issues and is investigating the problem. Mentioned X and ChatGPT/OpenAI also having some issues. It does appear to be moving in the right direction. An official statement from Cloudflare says, we saw a spike in unusual traffic to one of Cloudflare's services beginning at 11:20. What is UTC? Is that like Universal Time? Anyway, that caused some traffic passing through Cloudflare's network to experience errors. We do not yet know the cause of the spike in unusual traffic. We are all hands on deck to make sure all traffic is served without errors. After that, we will turn our attention to investigating the cause of the unusual spike in traffic, and we'll post updates as they become available. That's the thing that's a little scary about the cloud. I'm not saying Cloudflare specifically. It was one thing when all of your data was kept on your hard drive, be it your computer's hard drive or an external hard drive, and you had backups, and a lot of people still back things up. There are a lot of people that just trust the cloud, whether it's iCloud or Google Storage or any number of 1,000 other cloud storage companies that are out there. And when we talk about the construction of these massive, mega data centers, or data centers if you prefer, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about cloud storage, but not for your laptop, for companies, for their operating systems, for their back ends, for their interfaces, for all of the stuff that we completely take for granted. I guess unless you are in that industry or you just are an incredibly curious mind, you don't really think about the infrastructure behind where all the pictures on your phone are backed up and stored, where all of the documents that you save or you share or you collaborate on from your desktop or your laptop or your iPad or your phone are actually stored, where the scrolling conversation that happens on X, whether it's the curated feed or the people that you follow, where all of that information is stored and then in a microsecond, I don't know if a nanosecond or a microsecond is smaller, whichever is smaller, we'll go with that, is available to you as you just swipe down to refresh that feed and see what 35 posts you've missed since the last time you refreshed, or it automatically refreshed itself. But it's a reminder that a disruption to these unseen, large economic impact data centers, the infrastructure backbone of everything that we do digitally, a hiccup, an attack, malware, spyware, hacker, can throw us into a nervous breakdown almost. Go without your ability to check your Facebook page or to refresh X, because that's where you get your news primarily, or Instagram, and watch the way people react. You see it from time to time with X where, it's like nothing's loading. What's wrong? And then you immediately go to a computer or a web browser and you type in, what's going on with X? Is X down? What happened to Twitter? Which we use interchangeably, obviously. And it's like you can find a company statement and people complaining. Our level of dependency on the technology that is available in the palm of our hand literally every second of the day, it's addictive. It's a little scary. I don't know at this point, and I know they're interconnected, which is more concerning? An attack on a technology hub or the energy grid? And we've heard for years now that the energy grid in the United States is incredibly susceptible to attack. And it would put us in the dark. And I guess the answer is it's still the energy grid, because it's that energy grid that powers most of the technology that we use and we need on a daily basis. But it is a little scary, and it's a little sobering when something that we use all the time goes down and we recognize just how dependent we are on it. I mean, Lance, you send me links to things that happen on X or Instagram or wherever online, YouTube. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to say all day, every day, but at various points.
To wear you out. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you see something and you think it's either germane to the show or something that would be interesting to me or something I need to see, and you send it to me. And I do that with you less frequently, but hey, we need to look at this.
Yeah.
Man, can you believe this? It's how we communicate.
Yeah.
All the time.
And there's always something. And there's always something.
Yeah. Cloudflare provides a lot of background services to websites that are essential in making them operate securely and smoothly. Their most popular service is their CDN network, the biggest on the market and used by pretty much everyone. Because of that, Cloudflare also provides security features like CAPTCHA and other verification methods. Recent global outages on the internet highlight of how much of the web is dependent on only a handful of companies. We're back with you right after this.
From the Seabrook.
Mornings with Richard Cross.
People want to hear the truth, man. That's what we're going to do.
Super Talk, Mississippi.
I'm just trying to make a living watching everybody else having fun. Well, I don't miss much if it happens on the dance hall floor. Mercy, look what just walked through that door.
Hello. Speaking of trouble, a former Mississippi Delta police officer is in it. He's accused of coercing an undocumented immigrant to give him money to be shielded from legal trouble. The officer's been arrested. While working as an officer with the Louisville Police Department, Antonio Wade, 26 years old, is reported to have conducted a traffic stop back on September 17th. During the stop, the officer learned that the unidentified driver lacked identification or legal status. Upon that discovery, then Officer Wade allegedly indicated that he could help the subject in exchange for money. The officer reportedly collected $2,500 from the individual. Antonio Wade has been charged with extortion under, blackmail under, and deprivation of rights under color of law.
Man,
how big a deal is this?
That's a big deal.
Up to 20 years in prison. A federal district court judge will determine any sentence. He is currently being held without bond pending a detention hearing. Separate and additional state charges may be pending.
Delta's had some rough stuff going on lately, man. I hate to say it, but goodness.
Is that happening more than we know about? I mean,
if one is
would
doing
like to
it,
think no.
If one's doing it, I mean, it obviously, the word's out that it can be done. You know, whether
so we don't think that Antonio Wade just woke up one morning and said, I could really make it a merrier Christmas if when I pull over somebody, if they don't have paperwork, I can just extort money out of them in order to not arrest them? I'm assuming the body camera is not running when you do that.
Yeah.
Feels like the exchange of cash would not be a good thing to have on video. That probably gets sent to the cloud. To tie in our previous conversation.
Yeah, I think it's a situation too where you have people with extreme limitations, with the language barrier, and you got somebody in a position of power.
Yeah,
totally takes advantage of that, and
absolutely.
You go, well, this guy's not going to report me.
And you know what it is, right? It's how Mexico has operated for decades.
Yeah, you can just hand out a little folding money and go along your way.
I mean, Lance, you lived there. I don't know how common it was, but you've heard the stories a million times. If you get in trouble with the law in Mexico, you better have some cash on you.
Yeah.
Because the problem can go away.
Oh, very easily, yeah.
And you do not want to go to a Mexican jail, Tijuana or otherwise.
Yeah, when you see a bunch of dudes riding around in the back of a SR5 1982 Toyota truck, and it's 1998, and, and there are about 8 of them in there with Uzis and every different type of automatic weapon. It's a bunch of mixed match stuff.
Pucker factor.
Yeah. You want to follow the rules. You don't want to find out where they'll put you.
Yeah.
So you keep some folding money ready to hand out just in case. And traveling out into the hinterlands, which I would basically akin to the Delta. The more rural areas of Mexico, especially the western part where I lived, very, very dangerous. Yeah. So you always wanted to stay on, with bus or something like that with a group of people, because these types of things happen regularly, right. Even when I was there. So I think it's a lot worse now, but you're dealing with cartels now,
Yeah.
We have recently a cartel connection in the Delta. I mean, that's great.
We did. Yeah, absolutely. And the police officers, many of them, Policia, in Mexico, have become accustomed to or numb to receiving bribes from cartels to the point that it's just expected from non-cartels as well.
I think you go through that in any developing country.
Yeah.
We went through that, in our history a while back where, the pay-to-play, the patronage system, very, very front and center back in the late 1800s. Garfield, the one that got shot and killed by the crazy man, Guiteau, he was very important, as well as Chester Arthur in civil service reform, where it wasn't a patronage system, where you weren't paying to play. Yeah. You weren't using bribes to get around.
Governor Phil Bryant, former Governor Phil Bryant, has been appointed to the National Assessment Governing Board, the NAGB. Announcement came yesterday from Secretary of Education Linda McMahon. According to the DOE, Bryant fills one of 2 seats designated for state governors from different political parties. McMahon said Bryant brings an important state perspective to the National Assessment Governing Board. She pointed out that during his tenure as governor, he signed Mississippi's Literacy-Based Promotion Act into law, which kick-started the state's remarkable literacy growth, aptly known as the Mississippi Miracle, writes this story. Oh, that was actually in her quote. Grateful for his willingness to serve and look forward to the great work that he will do on the board. The NAGB is the policy board that oversees the NAEP. A lot of acronyms here. The National Assessment of Education Progress, the nation's education report card. You've heard about NAEP testing, NAEP testing. When it comes to early education in particular, this board carries a lot of weight. So former Governor Bryant now serving on that board as well. He's getting busy in retirement. He's working, keeps an office here in Mississippi, and been appointed to a couple of committees / boards / government entities. A lot going on with the former governor. The United Nations a lot of the time is irrelevant. But yesterday was a big day for the Trump administration as the blueprint to secure and govern Gaza won strong approval at the United Nations. Crucial step that provides international support for U.S. efforts to move the devastated territory toward peace following 2 years of war. The U.S. resolution that passed in the UN Security Council authorizes an international stabilization force to provide security in Gaza, approves a transitional authority to be overseen by President Trump, and envisions a possible future path to an independent Palestinian state. To get Trump's thoughts, we, of course, go to social media. On Truth Social, he said this will go down as one of the biggest approvals in the history of the United Nations, will lead to further peace all over the world, and is a moment of true historic proportion. Do you remember the 20-point ceasefire plan? That's what this vote endorses and builds on the momentum of the fragile ceasefire that he helped broker with allies. It marks a key next step for American efforts to outline Gaza's future after the Israel-Hamas war destroyed so much of the territory and killed tens of thousands of people. It does feel like we've gone a few weeks without a dust-up between Israel and Hamas. What was front-page headline news for 2 solid years has at least briefly quieted. I mean, it's a region and 2 sets of peoples that are a figurative powder keg all the time. It will forever be on a razor's edge. But it feels like each day that we go without major hostilities between Israel and Hamas, that feels like a little bit of a win. So progress there, and now the UN is officially on board as well. A couple of things to wrap up with you on the other side of this final break this morning. Remind you that if you're in the market for a new or previously owned vehicle, Belk Ford and Oxford Toyota is the place that I recommend. It's where I've been shopping for close to 30 years. They're going to take care of you at Belk Ford. There's a better way at Belk. Visit them online at belkford.net to see their selection. Stop by and see them. And don't forget, right now you've got 0% financing for 60 months on the F-150. Other great financing and rebate deals available as well. Check them out. Highway 6 West in Oxford. Belk Ford, Oxford Toyota.
From the Venable Glass Traffic.
What are we going to do? Rise and shine with information and insight.
Check it out. Check it out.
Mornings with Richard Cross. Super Talk, Mississippi.
Working from one end to the other, and all points in between. Took a drive through Mississippi. Turn to wine. Took a jump through Mississippi.
Glad to be with you. You can join us if you would like on the C Spire text line. Just a couple of minutes left with you on this Tuesday morning, the 18th of November. Hunting season is upon us, and if you don't have a place to go and you're tired of trying to join a club or follow somebody else's rules, and you are in the market for a property of your own, a place to call your own, maybe my friends at David Fisher Land Company can help. David Fisher Land Company is based in Inverness in the heart of the Mississippi Delta, but they service all of Mississippi, Arkansas, and Louisiana. David Fisher Land Company has 40 years of experience in farm and recreational land brokerage, land appraisals, and farmland management. Whether you're looking for 100 acres or several thousand, perhaps an equity share in a hunting club from DeSoto County to the South Delta, David Fisher Land Company is ready to earn your business. And they've got clients across the Southeast. So they certainly can help if you're looking to sell a piece of property. The website is davidfisherland.com. Even if you're not just immediately in the market to buy land, you might want to take a look at what's out there. You can do that at davidfisherland.com, davidfisherland.com. Reach out to David, Jack, or Travis. Certainly would appreciate it if you told them that you heard about David Fisher Land Company on Super Talk, on Mornings with Richard Cross. Would appreciate that very much. There's some big properties that are available, some small properties that are available, some that are under contract, and the deer, the deer. There is a picture on their website at davidfisherland.com of a buck that was killed in Humphreys County. Lance, have you been to the website? You've seen that
yeah.
buck bayou listing?
Yeah, I have a hard time going to the website because I get green with envy.
Yeah.
That's the way it is.
Property in Humphreys County, 365 acres, a mix of timber and sloughs, levees, food plots, pipes in place. It's well maintained. Got a spot to flood for ducks. Kind of got it all. Really, really cool stuff. DavidFisherLand.com. Let's see. We've heard out of Rankin County, we've heard a little bit of local pushback to the big data center project there. Not over the top and not, protesting and chaining themselves to trees and stuff like that, but people that want some answers to questions. Concerned about energy rates moving forward, about natural resources that are tied, about energy consumption that are tied to big data center projects. And if you think it's just, those silly folks in Rankin County, that's not it. It's becoming a more widespread thing. Alphabet's Google announced that it was investing $40 billion to build new data centers in 2 Texas counties. They made that announcement on Friday. One is in Armstrong County up in the Panhandle. The other is in West Texas, over close to Abilene, Haskell County. Alphabet CEO said this investment will create thousands of jobs, provide skills training to college students and electrical apprentices, and accelerate energy affordability initiatives throughout Texas. Some of the same things that we've heard about the data centers in Mississippi. Google has had a presence in Texas for 15 years, but this is the biggest data center investment by Google anywhere in the United States. But there are people that are pushing back. Not so much in Texas, but in Tarboro, North Carolina, residents urged their town council to reject a proposal for a 50-acre, 300-megawatt Energy Storage Solutions LLC site due to a belief that it would consume enormous amounts of water and electricity and would raise their utility rates. People in Menomonee, Wisconsin, felt similarly about water usage and higher electricity bills that would be caused by a mystery company's $1.6 billion proposed data center. It's not just Google. OpenAI, Microsoft, Meta Platforms, Amazon, we obviously know that well, are among the companies that are spending billions of dollars on new AI-focused data centers. It's happening, and it's going to continue to happen. And it feels like in the aggregate, these economic development projects are good, certainly good here at home in the state of Mississippi. But they may not be without cost also. Just good thing to have eyes wide open. Thanks for being with us on this Tuesday morning, November 18th, 2025. It's Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk, Mississippi, presented by our friends at Community Bank, rooted in our community, communitybank.net. For Lance, I'm Richard. Have a great Tuesday.
A SuperTalk Mississippi media production.